Hello and welcome to some fretboard forensics with me, Reese Gerwin. Today we're going to be looking at some chord voicings. So if you want to up your chord voicing game and be able to play, whatever amazing chord voicing you want wherever you are on the neck, then these charts can really help you do that. They're accessible on my website in my shop if you want to get them, and the entire book is coming soon if you want to wait for that. But either way, if you show support by buying this, you will likely get rewarded when the book comes out. So, hint hint. Anyway, this is drop 2 7th chords. I will do a video on triads, but today we're doing 7th chords. Very useful for jazz, very useful for neo-soul, progressive music, stuff that uses a lot of color tones in it, those types of genres. So we have drop 2 7th chords. Drop 2, in short, now you don't have to understand this to use these charts or understand this video and get something out of it, but here I go. Drop 2 is when you stack a chord normally, you stack in thirds, right? So C, E, G, B, those are all a third apart, right? You take that second voice, the second voice from the highest voice, so highest voice, second highest voice. It's a G, happens to be a G in this C major 7, and I'm going to drop that an octave. So now, instead of this, then I'm going to take this B and I'm going to make it all on consecutive strings. So I took the B from the E string and put it on the B string. So now it's on the 12th fret of the B string. So we get this voicing right here. So that's what a drop 2 is. You stack a chord normally in thirds, or in what they call closed position. So if it's not stacked in thirds, then it's stacked in a closed kind of piano-like voicing. Maybe like this if it's F major 7, and it's really hard to play these on guitar, which is why we don't do them. Yeah, so that's an F major 7, but it's too spread out for me to realistically play that, so I might play this instead. So that's the purpose of drop 2 voicings. Drop 3 as well, there's another video on that coming. So the drop 2 voicings, really useful for guitar specifically. They're very guitar friendly most of the time. That's what drop 2 means. Hope you understood that. You don't have to, like I said, you don't have to understand that to move on through the video. We got type, inversion, and strings. So the type, major 7 or minor flat 6. The inversions are up here in the top row. We get the bass note. So the bass note is not the same as the root. So this happens to be when the root is the bass note, right? So we got the root here as the bass note. The third is the bass note in first inversion. The 5th is the bass note in second inversion. The 7th is the bass note in third inversion. If you don't know what that means, then look up chord inversions. I'll probably do a video on that someday too. Anyway, so we have our chord type, we have our inversion, and we have these diagrams. So if you want to find an inversion, it's all based on the column that you look at, okay? If you want to go up the neck with the same chord, you will be going this direction horizontally. So what we're going to do is going to do both of those things. We're going to stay in 5th position at first. So I'm going to start on this D string oriented voicing. The strings are grouped in 4 from the D string. You see they're grouped in 4 from the A string and grouped in 4 from the E string. That's how all of these charts are formatted right here. Right, so it's all D string, A string, E string, right? You got all these different chord types. We're going to be looking at major 7. So today we're going to be in 5th position, and I'm going to just zoom in on this little diagram right here. So 5th position would mean whatever fret our pointer finger is playing is the 5th fret. So this note right here, because it's the lowest note, will be played by your pointer finger, and that will be on the 5th fret. So that's how we're going to do this starting out. So if I play that, my pointer finger is playing the G on the D string. So I'm playing the D string oriented root, and this is now a G major 7. You can move it all around to A flat major 7, or you can move it to F sharp major 7 or G flat major 7. So there you have it. We're going to stay in 5th position, but I'll explain more later on that. So here we are, G major 7. Let's see what the next shape is in 5th position. And this one's kind of a tricky one. We have our pointer finger on the 5th fret, and it is playing this note right here. Now that is an E in 5th position, the 5th fret of the B string. So we're playing E major 7 when we use this shape in 5th position. So we have G major 7 and E major 7. Now, if we go to the next one, our root is on the G string. And in 5th position, the 5th fret of the G string is C. So that means we are playing a C major 7 now. Got it? Pretty straightforward. You just are looking for the root, and whatever root you want to play, you just like smack it on there. So you have to know your notes on the fretboard pretty well to use these, but even if you don't know them very well, it's still a really good exercise to practice naming notes on the fretboard and kind of identifying these shapes too. You can learn a lot just by doing that. This last shape is kind of interesting because we have this minor 9 to major 7 thing right here. So that indicates a special section in this book of voicings where I switch the minor 9th and the major 7th. So I'll explain that in a second. Let's play this, and our pointer finger remembers on the 5th fret, and it is playing the root on the E string. Boom. So this sounds kind of, I don't know, not very good, or not super pretty. It like doesn't sound like a major 7. Most major 7s sound a lot more pretty. So why is that? Well, first of all, this is an A major 7, and the A is on the E string, right? So the root is the highest note, but in a major 7, you actually have a note below the highest, or the root. So the note below the root is the major 7th, the G sharp, which is actually, in this voicing, since it's 3rd inversion, and the 7th is in the bass, well, that means the 7th is the bass note. So the note below the root is the bass note, and that is why it sounds like that, you know, whatever you want to call it. It's a useful voicing. I think it's actually kind of cool if you put an F sharp on the bottom. Oh, all of a sudden it doesn't sound so bad anymore. So there is that. Just remember that when you're dealing with these voicings. But in any case, if you don't like it by itself, then this minor 9th to major 7th is exactly what you want. So the minor 9th is the A on top and the G sharp on the bottom. So this, it's called a minor 9th, okay? So minor 9th kind of is not very good sounding. What you can do is, instead of playing the G sharp on the bottom and the A on top, you can just switch it. Play the A on the bottom or the G sharp on top. So now we have our last section of the book. In fact, you know, if you buy this book, you might actually consider going straight to this section, because these are some interesting voicings. They're very difficult sometimes, but here we go, right there. This is what we just changed the chord voicing to. So it was this, and now it is this. Much prettier sounding, at least in my opinion. I think Alan Holdsworth would have disagreed with me, but anyway. So there you have it. There's your typical, look at this, actually. This is a typical stack thirds. This is kind of like where we came from to get to the drop 2 voicing. Okay? We take this, we go down like that, and we have our drop 2 again. So we can just keep dropping 2 constantly over and over, but that's kind of pointless. You don't need to do that. Boop, boop. Okay. So that was the D string. We just went through the whole D string line, and in 5th position, just to review, we got G major 7 in 5th position, E major 7 in 5th position, C major 7 in 5th position, and A major 7 in 5th position with 2 optional voicings. Okay? So let's just do the same thing, but on the A string. So here we go. We have this A string voicing, And this is going to be, in 5th position, a D major 7. So now we have a next thing. In 5th position, I'm going to stretch my pointer finger, so technically my pointer finger is actually playing the 4th fret, kind of like follows the rules of being in a position, but it doesn't really matter. You can always just move a half step with these. This voicing is kind of difficult, but I think it sounds really cool. This is a B major 7 because our pointer finger is playing the 4th fret of the G string. If you decided that you want to stay with your pointer finger on the 5th fret, then you're playing a C major 7. So actually, you got C major 7 here, you get C major 7 here, right? So that's kind of cool. Anyway, so we had D major 7, A string. Now we have C major 7 or B major 7, right? And then, next voicing on the A string, oh look, it's our drop 2. So when you take the stacked thirds that I explained earlier, and you drop the 2nd voice from the top, you actually get this voicing. So this is like the kind of drop 2 origin story chord voicing. Just kidding, okay. So it's kind of just unique in that relationship as I explained it. Here we go, 5th position, pointer finger, boom. So, 5th position, pointer finger on the 5th fret, we are playing an A flat major 7 because this note right here, the one my ring finger is playing, or if you can like do 2 notes with 1 finger, middle finger, that's fine, but I'm playing A flat in the ring finger, so it is A flat major 7. Alright, and we get to our double option here. It's going to sound kind of bad, just keep that in mind, and on the 5th fret, we actually have our pointer, or middle finger, playing the root, so that is an F major 7, right? If we go to our minor 9th section, which should take less time than it did last time, we have this one right here. Boom. This is a very familiar voicing, F major 7. Ooh, very nice. Okay, back to where we were. All right, and so that's the 2 options right there. We got F major 7 here, and then switching the minor 9th to the major 7th. Alrighty, we got this one coming up. Boom. Okay, E string. These are just more deep. There's a lot more deep sounding. So there's less of a use case here because it can get really muddy down in 1st position, but just keep in mind that these are all meant to be moved across the neck, so it's gonna, you know, it just depends on how you're using them. So they're not always gonna sound good, just remember that. But in 5th position, we have A major 7. It's actually nice. It's not so low that it sounds muddy, but it is, yeah, it's kind of deep. So there's your root position, A major 7 on the E string. And we now have, I'm going to do the same thing and put my pointer finger on the 4th fret, follow my own rules, so to speak. And since my pointer finger is playing this F sharp or G flat, I'm playing a G flat major 7 in 1st inversion. This is the root of the minor flat 6. So I'll talk about the minor flat 6. It's a less common chord, but it is still a chord and deserves to be treated well, just like any other chord. So it sounds really pretty, but it's a very sad chord. And this voicing in particular is very appropriate when it comes to playing the minor flat 6. Anyway, there's 2 names for all these chords. That's the other powerful thing about this booklet is you get you know, a bunch of chords on one page, or a bunch of scales, or a bunch of arpeggios on one page, and there's multiple names for a lot of them, which really means like you got your work cut out for you. You don't have to spend as much time like thinking your way through the theory. You can just kind of like, oh look, there's the root of the other one right there. I can just play that and boom, boom, boom. It's supposed to be easy. That doesn't mean it's easy to play these things. Like, this voicing really sucks to play, honestly. Fingering's difficult, but hey, if you spend time with it and get comfortable, then it could be worth it for you. Okay, next voicing here in 5th position. This is an E flat major 7, so my ring finger's playing the root. And yeah, beautiful voicing. I really like this one as well. It's nice and deep. So we had A major 7. G flat or F sharp major 7. And then we have E flat major 7. And the minor flat 6, the minor flat 6 voicings are also, you know, right there. So this would be like a G minor flat 6, right? Because my pointer finger, which is this note, is playing a G. Cool? Last one. We have another very deep, it's got a minor 9th, like this one's going to sound really bad, right? In 5th position. Yeah. So this voicing, you know, it's just part of the system, right? You don't, maybe you have a use for it, maybe you don't, but here is the other version. Now, why did I put this section last? Well, because it's not drop 2. That's really why. Because it's its own section. It's like, it's if drop 2 wasn't drop 2, which is so funny, because if you switch the minor 9th and the major 7th, then you get the stacked thirds. So it's kind of funny. But anyway, I don't think too much about that. I just want to make music with these. So you got this minor 9th right here, and then we switch the root and the 7th. So this voicing's not actually easy, because as you can see, it's kind of stretchy, and my hand has to be in that configuration. But it sounds good, it sounds nice and deep. Major 7. This would be a C major 7, because my pinky's playing the root on the E string. You could also make it a D flat or C sharp major 7 as well. Pinky on the E string. So there you have it. You got this ugly voicing, and then this less ugly voicing. But just because something sounds dissonant doesn't mean it's not useful. So it's the whole point of these voicings is to be like, hey, a major 7 chord can sound like crap if you want it to, or sound beautifully elegant, and you know, it just depends. It's all context oriented. So there you have it. There's your chords, your major 7 chords. If you're very interested in knowing your chords all over the neck, then this is the perfect resource for you. You can do tons of really fun exercises with this. But the last thing I'm going to show you is, instead of staying in one position, we're just going to take one chord, and we're going to start with G major 7. I'm only going to do it with this one row here, because they all work the same way. So G major 7 in 5th position, we're going to begin, but we're going to actually move positions and invert G major 7 to the other inversions. So here we go. We have G major 7, and that's right here. We're going to the next inversion, right? So there's a couple ways to do this. You can think about the lowest note, so the 3rd being in the bass, or you can just say, oh, well, look, the root is on the B string. So I just need to find G on the B string. Okay, so the next inversion, G on the B string, 8th fret of the B string, there it is. So we got the root position, 1st inversion. Cool. Let's go to the next one. G. Well, if G is on the G string, then that's definitely either open, right, or the 12th fret. In this case, we would go, right? So that's your 12th fret, G major 7. And then we have our last ugly one, where the G is on the E string. It's so funny because actually, pretty sure Alan Holdsworth thought this one. He's like, yeah. Anyway, Alan Holdsworth is awesome. So I love his contrarian views on certain voicings. But this last voicing is the one that I called it ugly, but a lot of people do that. But like I said, context. G is on the E string. We got this minor 9th. Let's switch it. So we had this, G is on the E string, and there you go. So root position, 1st inversion, 2nd inversion, 3rd inversion, root position, option. There you go. So if you take the chords, any chord, pick a chord, any chord, random chord, who cares, like G7 sharp 9, right? Well, you got to know how to, voice that chord, right? Happens to be a diminished major 7 is a good voicing for a sharp 9 chord. 7 sharp 9. But anyway, more videos on that. I just wanted to show you the basics of these charts and get you started on practicing cooler chord voicings. Hope you have a good day, everybody. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.